Brett, really great to have you on our call. And of course, this is our series on connecting to people who are making an impact and an influence in other people's lives, especially in the field of well-being, good mindset, optimum health. And of course, you're perfectly set up for that. So great to have you on the call. And I think actually, before you chip in, just want to preface this to say that, as a doctor as well, you spent 6 years in training, in dealing with people, understanding the human body. And of course, I've had a lot of experience. And as a chiropractor, and certainly as a well-known chiropractor and as an authority in your field, you've actually got some great stories about some of the people that you've worked with, which I'm sure is going to be some interesting stories for many of our listeners. But you've noticed that there are a whole lot of things which are holding people back. Often you just get someone who comes to you because they've got a bit of a niggle or a pain, and they think like, oh, great, this is going to be sorted out with just a few adjustments. But with all the years that you've been in practice and worked with people, you've actually started to identify some key elements that when those shift, just so much happens for your clients, right? Productivity increases, there's way more efficiency, decision-making. And of course, we just want results. We want just that end result. And how all that is created, right? The alignment of the nervous system, all of our sleep, our nutrition, our exercise, our mindset, all of these things you've actually unpacked and recreated in such a way that can make a difference. So yeah, please share with us, how long you've been, in the field of chiropractic and of course, working with people, and, what have you actually seen that's really made a difference?
Well, thank you very much, Robin. So that is exactly what happened is with studying and starting to be a chiropractor, I realized there were a lot of things missing in people's lifestyle that were preventing them from being their best, getting healthier, getting well, and living their best life. So in the 25 years that I've been working with people, I realized that I needed to help them with that as well, so that they could then find the best lifestyle for themselves so that they can get the best out of their lives. And that's what I find I needed to study on that and do all the work to then be able to bring that to them so that they can start making changes. There were so many times I was helping people with the niggles that they were having, and that they weren't then eating properly. They weren't doing the right exercises. They weren't sleeping properly, and they were stressed out of their mind. And all of those things were having a major impact on their health and their well-being. So that is when I decided I really needed to bring a holistic approach to this so that there could be all of these aspects included in the way that we were helping. And that's how I really got into the coaching.
So, you've mentioned about, all these different aspects, and we know that for you prioritize on many different categories, but we can kind of group them into the sleep, our nutrition, our exercise, and of course our mindset, right? The health of the way in which we view the world. Now, if I actually think about that, I could go to the psychologist for my mindset. I'd have to go to a nutrition person for some of my nutrition and food intake, personal trainers for exercise. There's really a problem in that, because I'm going to have a whole lot of different people, and they're not going to be talking to each other. So what have you noticed, and what have you actually done to solve that? And actually becomes more cost effective, because I wasn't going to have to go and pay a whole lot of money to the psychologist and a whole lot of money to the nutritionist. How have you brought that together in kind of like a one-stop shop as this person support and coach?
Well, exactly. And that's what we found. One of the big barriers was the psychologist wasn't necessarily speaking to the nutritionist, and the chiropractor wasn't getting exactly the right exercise from the trainer. So we try to bring these all in together, with me helping guide the people with that. And so many times a person's mindset is influencing their decisions, and most of the times in a poor way. So when we started working with psychologists, they weren't taking them down the right path. So working as a coach, getting their mindset right, having a look at their beliefs and their self-esteem was making a huge impact. So we were then able to see what they were eating, when, their mindset, what strategies they had for their stress, what exercise they were doing. So I knew exactly what was happening. So we almost called it like a wellness PA, so that I knew exactly what each person was doing through this journey. And I've worked closely with the people with that. And that's the difference, bringing those all together has made a huge difference in people then living it the best way to get the best out of their health and their wellness.
So one of those aspects then, if you're talking about that, which I would assume you're experiencing, quite a lot with the engagement of people, and we see it in social media today, the shift in awareness, the shift in understanding that our health and wellness is more of an investment in ourselves than actually a cost about something, right? When we realize that we are healthier, our productivity increases, our thinking is way better, our decision-making is better, we have more energy, our possibly sex life even improves because we've got better energy around that and better connection. So there's a whole lot of ramifications which are really, really profound and actually impact our whole lives. And, what actually are we doing in the space that is setting these people up on a trajectory for success and well-being for life, as opposed to, let me just fix the niggle that you've got now?
Well, that's unfortunately how people have got the belief system. If something starts to get sore in the last 2 weeks, they think it's a small problem, as opposed to the entire system degenerating in various things. A lot of people come to me very inflamed, and it's their nutrition making it worse. So to get people to understand that when they start getting this right, all sorts of things in their life start to change. Like you said, their energy, their libido, and people think sometimes just a small shift is going to do something, like a little one adjustment or one session with a coach, whereas it's a whole thing about building this beautiful, constructed, resilient, robust lifestyle for them that they're going to then be able to apply for the rest of their life. That's the key. And that isn't something that you do overnight. So when we work with people, it really is building their strategies based on what they like doing and love doing, so that they can have this to really launch the rest of their life on a completely different trajectory. And that is hugely empowering. And people find that one of the words that they use is they get their mojo back and they get themselves back. And it's so beautiful to see people really come alive.
So I guess that's one of the things I've noticed about some of your programs is you don't do short timeframes. In other words, most of your work, your coaching work with your clients is, at least 10 to 15, 16, even longer sessions. It's like this frequency, right? And I guess that's what you're sharing, is you're wanting those patterns, those mindsets to really become established, as opposed to just a once-off treatment, right? So that's going to make a big difference. Now, that also implies that a lot of people are going to come and say, well, Brett, I actually just don't have time. And we all have heard frequently that quote, which is, you either make time for health and wellness exercise, or you're going to have to make time for illness and lying in bed being sick, right? So what are the kind of results that people are going to experience in working with you? And more importantly, even though they're coming to you with hey, Brett, I just need 3 or 4 sessions to fix me, what's making the difference with them actually experiencing, hey, there's way more value in really looking at all these different categories, which is going to set me up for a successful life?
So one of the greatest things that we have a look at is, and I apply this when I work with corporate teams, is performance and productivity. And we've seen it with lawyers that we work with, that their billable hours go up. You think that there are only so many hours in a day, but they can end up billing more hours. And the same applies whether it's a housewife, a sportsman, all of these things. They end up prioritizing things and making better decisions about what they need to be doing and how they need to be doing it. And when they end up doing things, they do it far more efficiently and so much easier, because their brain's working better, their system's working better, they're making better decisions, and they're able to compact that time and still find that it doesn't mean that they're rushed, and they have all of this free time, and it does open up that performance and productivity. And it's amazing to see that. It seems counterproductive, but it ends up being that these people have more time.
Yep. And speaking about time again, we know the impact of accountability, support, and accessibility. And what I mean by that is the people who support us, do we have access to them? Can we chat to them beforehand? And of course, we want to know, like, Brett, do you have a vested interest in me if I was your client? Like, how do I know that you've got my best interests at heart? And in your work, how does that show up? How do you actually convey that in helping me be accountable for what I'm doing and reaching my goals, for me being able to access and reach out to you? How do you resolve that?
Well, a lot of the times people perceive it like a psychologist, that you've got this hour or this very limited time, and that's the only time that you have available. But what I do is I make myself available to these people through WhatsApp, through emails, and a lot of the times I'm checking up on them. They'll say, okay, cool, for this week, I'm going to be doing my gym 3 times a week, and come the end of the week, we have a way that we can check in with them. They're checking in with me. So I'm really available to them, unlike how you see a doctor. No, you've got to make the appointment, you've got to come in. So I really end up building a relationship as well, so that people can see that they can trust me and that they can ask me questions that might be a little bit out of the ordinary, but it's the availability. And then, like you said, the accountability. I'm right there for them to support them. And if they do skip a beat or something, I'm there to help them in a very gentle way, to help encourage them. So a lot of the time people need encouragement, just a little bit of encouragement, and it has a huge shift in them taking responsibility for their actions and the strategies that they've put out.
Well, Brett, we've certainly seen it in the growth of your business, in the reach that you're actually creating in corporate, as well as just for the person who stays at home, for the individual out there. We can certainly see that you're infiltrating, changing people's mindsets, and of course, making impact and influencing them. So all the best to you. Great to have you on the call. And all the best for the people who are becoming healthier because of you.
Great stuff, Robin. Thank you very much.